Very good morning, good afternoon, or good evening from the Systemic Diversity and Inclusion Group. My name is Sedley Adams. I'm the producer for this event for the business team based in London. As you will be aware, Dr. Nwoye, the president and founder of SDIG, is joined today by 4 guests, all of whom have got a spectacular amount of experience in one way or another in the diversity and inclusion space. Before handing over to Dr. Nwoye, I'll just point out that his 4 guests today, as you can see on your screens, Dr. Nwoye himself, who has served at various levels from undergraduate to doctoral level, served as both Director of Urban Education Program and the Center for Multicultural Education at Illinois State. He's a professional development specialist himself, as well as an adjunct faculty member, and he's been a founder of the 5013C organization SDIG for the last 3 years. Today, Dr. Nwoye is joined by Brianne Caplan, who is executive director at Code Your Dreams and program director for careers in computer science at the University of Chicago. Therese Baptiste Cornelis, or as she should probably be termed, Her Excellency Therese Baptiste Cornelis. She'll kill me for saying that, but nonetheless, it's probably going to be worth it. Therese is the former ambassador to the United Nations from Trinidad and Tobago. She is a coaching and professional speaker. She aims to deliver education and inspiration and entertainment to a variety of audiences, which she's doing with extreme competence from her base in Belgium. Dr. Nwoye's third guest is Shauna Ruyle, who is an Amazon Web Services cloud practitioner. She's also director of 2 remarkable organizations that I've had the pleasure of working with briefly over the last 18 months, Ed Equity Global and We Connect the Dots, both of which are digitally based organizations that attempt to bring digital literacy across the board to communities that are sometimes underserved or those that feel they can't cope with the modern world. And Shauna proves them wrong, along with her colleagues. And fourth of all, Michelle Dickinson, who is a workplace mental health strategist and consultant, and she's head of an organization called careforyourpeople.com. For the time being, we will keep your cameras off. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining us. Please put your questions in the chat. There will be a short Q&A at the end of the session, but it's my pleasure now to hand over to the founder and president of the Systemic Diversity and Inclusion Group, Dr. Joseph Nwoye.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adam. It's a pleasure to welcome our guests. I would like to start this section by looking at a recent book titled John Lewis Carries On, Reflection for a New Generation. This iconic congressman said, if I were to speak to Dr. King today, I would simply say, hello, Dr. King, how are you? He continued, I would say, thank you. Thank you for all that you have done to improve our country and to improve the world. Now, I think it's fitting to use that as entrance to our discussion today in memory or remembrance of Black History Month. But to our guests, our panelists, I will actually say to each of you exactly what the iconic leader would say to Martin Luther King Jr. if you were to see him today, except that I will make a couple of changes because of our time and our place. And I will say, thank you. Thank you for all that you have done for less privileged people, especially children. I will further say, thank you for what you continue to do to improve our country and our global communities through your work. You are making the world a better place. You are clearly on the front line in our collective quest for peace, equity, and social justice. Thank you for being here. And what I would do, how I'm going to begin, is to set the stage. I'm not going to be introducing you. I would rather want you to introduce yourself, because I know if I begin to do that, I won't capture what may be most salient. So on that, I will ask you to introduce yourself. Let's go first to Michelle.
Damn it. Wait, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Michelle.
Okay, sorry. I was
Yes, we can.
gonna go to because if you look at the I'm sorry, I'm not technically savvy here, but if you look, I'm not listed as a presenter, so I was worried that I wasn't even in the batch, but I'm glad I'm here. So I'm sorry, I'm babbling. What do you want me to answer? I'm sorry. Just
tell us about you. Tell us what you do. We know you do a lot of stuff. Just briefly tell us in 2 minutes what you do.
First and foremost, I'm a class clown. No. Hi, everyone. I am so honored to be here. I'm thrilled to have met you all, and it's an honor. I'm the owner of Trifecta Mental Health, and every day I get to help leaders and HR professionals recenter and empower their greatest asset, their own people. As you might know, because of this pandemic, we have 42% of our global workforce experiencing a decline in their mental health. And the reality is too many people are suffering in silence and shame. So as a TED speaker and published author, I work through the work I do is through sharing my mental health journey and giving talks about that journey. And then I also have resilience and leader training workshops that I deliver in the workplace. So that's just a little bit about me.
Thank you very much, Michelle.
Welcome.
Now, let's go to Brianne Caplan. Brianne, could you go, please?
Hi, well, first, I'm just so excited to be here. So thank you for inviting me. My name is Bri. I'm from Chicago, and my personal mission is driving equity in computer science education and creating pathways for underrepresented groups into the technology sector. My background, I worked as a data scientist in technology for a while, and I'm now the executive director and founder of a nonprofit organization called Code Your Dreams. Where our mission really is building the next generation of civic-minded technologists. So the work that we do, we work within schools, community centers, prisons, and detention centers, where we bring innovative tech education programs there. And so we have different program tracks from web development, app development, data science and analytics, and financial technology. But what's really core to all of our programs is that students are asked to build projects that really make a positive impact in their communities. So at the end of the day, we're not just building technologists, but we're also really building community activists. And the other important thing about our work is that we're really exposing students to all of the different roles that exist within the technology sector. And I really feel like this is a big economic opportunity for people generally. It was for me. So I just, my work is just bringing that to as many people as I can.
Thank you so much, Brian. Thank you. Now we're gonna go to Shauna.
Thank you, Dr. Nwoye. I really am thrilled for this opportunity to join this inspiring panel today. I'm really privileged and happy to have the opportunity to live my life on purpose. I'm a Native American founder and social entrepreneur with 20 plus years of experience in the tech industry, working for innovative companies such as Microsoft, TD Ameritrade, and high growth startups. Today, I'm the executive director of We Connect the Dots and Ed Equity Global. We're two nonprofit initiatives where we're creating tech access, we're transforming education, and we're accelerating jobs. I'm sorry, I do have a little more.
Go ahead.
Now more than ever is the time to provide in-demand tech skills, training, and a connection to jobs that pay a living wage. At We Connect the Dots, a Westbury, New York-based education nonprofit, we offer youth and students from all backgrounds the opportunity to engage in experiential learning programs for science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. Our work-based learning programs include exploration of tech careers, workforce development, and student-led community education programs, like our signature annual Codathon and our new exciting program called Upskill, which is an 8-week work-based learning program for out-of-school youth, 18 to 24 years old. And our pilot program completed recently in partnership with Suffolk County Department of Labor. And our next 2 cohorts this year will be sponsored by Microsoft and in partnership with the state of New York, while we support the state of New York strategy to reduce gun violence. I mean, there's so many social issues out there that we're addressing. I want to mention one more thing, and I'll wrap up my introduction. But we also make an impact on a global level with the annual Global AI Challenge, and the Global AI Challenge is a free virtual 8-week program designed for women, Black, Indigenous, and people of color who are college and university students and entrepreneurs from across the globe to use tech for good, leveraging Amazon Web Services. And these, I'll talk more about that exciting program where students learn to build IT solutions that address one or more of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. They gain in-demand skills and explore careers in the field of technology, specifically cloud and AI.
All right, thank you very much, Shauna. And we're gonna be going to Therese Baptiste, former ambassador. Can you go, please?
Okay. Hi, I'm Therese Baptiste. I believe that creating an environment that encourage employees to embrace and introduce their full identities and experiences into their work can only enhance overall productivity, regardless of the industry. Being allowed to express one's complete adult human experience and knowledge, which has come about due to different cultural experiences and differences, I believe allows us in our workplace to increase the likelihood that we reflect and connect with our customers. Yes, currently I am an educator. I am a lecturer and coach at Artevalta University of Applied Sciences. As an educator, my customers are my students. I'm also a consultant. As a consultant, my customers are my clients. And everyone knows sooner when they meet me, they get the complete package of my knowledge and my experience, and that I am proud to be an international, foreign, dual nationality, Black female from the Caribbean, who has worked both in the private sector and public sector as a director, as a consultant. I have worked in politics as a government minister. I've worked in the field of diplomacy as a UN ambassador and permanent rep to WTO, WIPO, ILO, you name it. But my first love and my overriding passion is to enrich minds and transform people into their better selves. And when not busy doing such, of course, I can be found dancing on TikTok, as Dr. Joseph would love to tell everyone. My life motto is being passionate about what you do is the key to success, and using that success to help others is the key to happiness, and I seek to be happy. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Actually, one of your students from South Africa just sent a message. Say, ho, he said. So I don't know whether you started her in or she just wanna express her views. Either way, it sounds good. Okay, what we wanna do now is you're gonna kind of take 3 phases. The first one is that I'm gonna be asking you to briefly introduce yourself that you have done now, but if you have any other thing to add to that, that would be fine. Then after that, I may ask you a couple of other questions. Then we transition to the audience question, where the audience may be able to ask you questions here and there. They may ask you as individuals, or they may ask you a group statement that each and every one of you may have opportunity to respond to. So that's the way we're gonna be going. And at the end, you're gonna have 2 minutes to wrap it up and give us a summation of your work. And then, of course, you give them information about you, should they want to get in touch with you, which usually people that come to our platform always tend to do. Then you're going to give them the information as to where they can reach you. And then that will be the end of it. We wrap up it. When we wrap up, I like to tell our audience or those that are on our program that we are kind of a family. Don't feel like this is just one short deal. You have to be part of us, and we have to be part of you as we push for equity and social justice in our global community, because we need it more than ever. All right. So with that said, we have seen what I like to call dual pandemics, the natural pandemics of COVID and the one that are done by people, the institutional of racism, discriminatory practices. I was watching what is going on in Atlanta, where somebody will be listening to how people communicated about killing their child, killing their uncle, killing their friend, mainly because of the pigmentation of the person's skin. And then I looked at Dante, the one that is happening in the north. I keep wondering, when would this stop? When would this stop? So what I would like to do is to say, knowing each and every one of you, you are all on the front line, pushing on the frontier to create a better world. As you look forward, today, this month being African American, Black History Month, how would you incorporate all you're doing along with people who push for social justice for all, equity for all, to create a better world for all of us, a world where each and every one of us will want to live and see our fellow human beings just as we see ourselves? Well, I guess we're gonna go to Baptiste.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. The thing is, I think too often people only seek to highlight diversity during Black History Month. And I know for USA and Canada, it's in February, but I don't know if some people realize it's a different time of the year up in Europe. Okay. And in Europe, it's actually in October. And again, even when I say Europe, it's not really Europe. It's like UK, Ireland, and Holland. Okay. It's not even that big in Belgium. And a lot of people, diversity remains this trending buzzword that often people try to a nice checkbox when they're hiring things, and it does not create or inspire the employees who it's meant to be. And I think diversity on its own will not accomplish much without inclusion. And that's one thing I look at when I'm teaching my students, is that we have to look at the package, diversity and inclusion. And too many times I'm seeing programs that talk about diversity, and it's not an inclusion, and it's really not an inclusion, right, Shauna? It's assimilation, trying to get people to be more like them. And that is where I think we have an issue. And if we don't get, Dr. Joseph, the inclusion, that lack is stagnating our progress. That is what is costing employees, talented employees. Seeing us by the color of our skin is not good. And that is the whole thing with diversity. It's not just color of skin. They go by the fact that you're from a different nationality, a different religion. We need to realize that we are all individuals and what we can contribute and recognize it. And I do believe that we can't just do it in Black History Month. So in Canada, that's just 28 to 29 years. I asked, did they pick February because it was the shortest month? So like we could only do 28 to 29 days. I mean, I saw someone, and I read last year, and I think it was Jacqueline Ferguson, and she was writing in Forbes magazine, and she said it's too patronizing that they only want to talk about it during that month. And you see a lot of companies all over America is like, what do we do for diversity? Because it's Black History Month. No, it's not just that. And that once we get beyond that, because that is what is causing the negative effect. It does not cultivate an authentic, thriving, and sustainable workplace culture. It backfires. It negatively affects moral. Okay, if we have to be honest, very little is being done in the world about this unconscious bias. And even in academic institutions, it still exists. And even in Europe, I myself know it exists. I know people react to me because I am not like them. And even in Belgium, it's not just to be like them, to be from Belgium, it's from a region in Belgium. So it's a lot. And I know and I feel for those people in America. I mean, I first encountered, as I told Dr. Joseph, I didn't really realize how Black I was until I went to do my graduate studies in Canada. And then someone was asking me, what color are you? And I was like, what really? What color? And he says, aren't you Black? And I had on a black pants and I looked at him and I said, really? I don't think we resemble these two colors. You know, and stop identifying people by their race. Stop identifying them by the type of hair they have, or the color of their eyes, or what religion they ascribe to. Recognize them as all human beings, and that's what will solve this problem. That's all I have to say.
All right, I'm gonna go to Shauna Ruyle. I hope that you still remember the question, or if you want me to say it again, I would be glad to try to repeat it.
I think, yes, thank you. I have a clear idea. Like you're, in so many words, you're asking how do we mitigate inequity for the people that our society is biased against.
That's correct.
Oh, okay. Well, I would say the first and foremost, be a better ally. Be a better ally to the people unlike yourself. Building greater awareness and understanding of how communities experience the systemic inequality and racism is one way to begin educating yourself. I think it's gender inequity and it's racial inequity, and we all have a right to be equal everywhere. But in our country and probably many and globally, we're not equal. We're not equal everywhere. And that's why I've committed my profession and a lot of my personal time to changing that. I mean, we should be equal everywhere. There are brave advocates like the folks on this call that are taking action to end inequality. And my advice is that we join together. We make coalitions. We make a global coalition or a national coalition to stop inequality. And I also want to mention one more thing, please. At We Connect the Dots, we also we not only provide like in-demand skills training and work-based learning programs, preparing women and BIPOC youth and out-of-school youth for the modern workforce, but we also provide brain-based coaching. And that's focused on the concept of psychological safety and emotional intelligence. And I'm leading into the idea of creating corporate cultures of inclusion that deliver results. I mean, it's just like the name of your organization, just like Therese is talking about, is systemic. It's a problem. And our program takes a holistic approach to teaching those soft skills and the technical skills to help build capacity for underrepresented populations to solve complex problems, cross-collaborate with other team members, have more self-awareness, synthesize information, and learn more about the many career opportunities in tech. So I hope that describes what I think we can do as a society or as an organization to help change the systemic racism and gender inequity.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Shauna. Well, I think this is a good segue to Michelle. Michelle, I know that issue of mental health is something that you are very passionate about and that you've been working on. Could you relate the issue of social mental health issues in reference to building a community where we all feel a sense of belonging, as former Congressman late John Lewis had indicated, based on your work?
I think you're on mute, Michelle.
Perfect. Okay, sorry about that. It wouldn't make sense for me to answer your question before you understand why I even care about this. So I just want to start off by sharing with you, mental health and mental illness is deeply personal to me. I know what it's like to care for someone. I grew up with a mother with bipolar disorder, so I cared for her for a large portion of my childhood and my adult life. And then I was diagnosed with depression when I was going through a divorce, and I had to deal with that and work at the same time. So I know what it feels like to be perceived as less than because I have a diagnosis. And then I also helped to build a mental health employee resource at a Fortune 500 company. So that's really important for you to understand, because when it comes to talking openly about mental health, we have to recognize unconscious bias. So building on what Shauna had said before about the biases, I think what we have to stop and recognize and not be ashamed of is that we all come to the table with our own biases. We grow up in certain circumstances with certain experiences along our journey, and those biases shape who we are and they shape how we lead. So I truly believe that if we really want to create inclusive environments, we all have to do the work individually to understand our biases, because only then can we start to look at things a little bit differently and be part of the solution. So I challenge all to get curious about what it is we think about certain populations, because if we're leading other people, we're going to have an impact on them. So self-awareness is, I think, at the heart of becoming a community of passion and inclusion.
Thank you so much, Michelle. And we're gonna segue to Brianne, whom when I saw the kind of work she does and the kind of population she reaches, it really epitomizes in my head what people should be doing in order to impact real people in need. Because oftentimes people speak, make wonderful speeches, do all kinds of great things. But when you get into where the rubber meets the road, you find out that what they may be saying is kind of shallow. But upon seeing what she does firsthand, and my knowing Chicago very well, her work stands out for me personally. So, Brianne, I would like you to connect to your technology, look at the society you are serving, look at it in terms of disparity, look at it in terms of people whose lives are otherwise ruined, and how you utilize your organization. That's quite a fitting name. Could Your Dreams. Could you tell us about it?
Definitely. And I also just want to echo what Therese was saying about really celebrating Black History Month today. I feel like within my organization, running a nonprofit, we also celebrate diverse voices, but it's just important to come into every meeting that we have, every decision really. Are the students that we serve, are their voices at the center of the work that we're doing? I think as nonprofits, we often have funders who might not reflect the people that we're serving. And so that's one thing where Therese's words that really resonated with me. So the work that I'm doing at Code Your Dreams, we really see technology generally as being something that just can give a student so much power and so much opportunity to create their life in the way that they see they want it to go. So when we teach these technology skills to students, there's so many pathways where they can take their lives. And a lot of the students that we work with, they might be gender involved, might come from difficult backgrounds, but really what we're showing them is that they do have a future in technology, whether they want to join a tech company, become a software engineer, or do sales or marketing, whatever it is, whether they want to start their own tech nonprofit, start their own business. We really want to give them the chance to utilize the power of technology and build their future, but also build the world that they want to see for themselves. So my students and the work that they're doing, it all comes from a social justice lens. So with our programs, they think about their communities, the amazing resources that their communities have, but they also think about the problems that they experience in their everyday life. So I can give an example of a student that I personally taught, a 6th grade student, who he came into the program from the west side of Chicago, which has a high rate of gun violence. And so the problem that he wanted to solve was gun violence and just feeling afraid when walking around his neighborhood. So he was able to create an app that helps others just feel safer. So there were features like if you felt nervous walking around, you could press a button and a message would go out to different emergency contacts with your location. It would have resources for those who them or their families were affected by gun violence. And so it's just amazing for me to be able to see such young people really creating big change. And so the role that I feel like I have is really empowering and equipping those young people with the resources to create change, more than just myself, where I come from one specific experience. I think it's important to have like a lot of different voices in the game.
Thank you very much. Being prompted that our time is flying. So I think we're gonna shift to the audience to see if they have questions. Adam, could you monitor the audience and see if they could answer questions or ask questions? Or if you are a part of this, you can raise your hand if you have any question for these wonderful panelists. Okay. Nancy Bodin, could you go, please?
Hi, it's a great honor to be chatting with this wonderful panel. I focus my works and efforts on children, because they, especially the children who are still in that wet cement phase of possibly developing biases. And I wonder if anyone on the panel can add anything about in relationship to children.
Well, the thing is, I personally think children are the best place we have to start, because they're like sponges, and whatever we give to them, they will absorb and they will magnify. Okay, and so you're working with children, fantastic, because I tend to get them when they're at university. So it's now to reprocess the way they're thinking, let them see how they are. At a university, we do get students who came to Belgium as refugees, for instance. But the fact is to children, you can show them, because a child is not born thinking he or she is different. They may not like the person from a personality point of view, but not from an ethnic point of view, a racial point of view, a religious point of view. And we need to let them realize those points of view do not matter. That is not what it is. Okay, so fantastic that you're working with children, and children are the sponges. And that's where we really have to start. For some people, honestly, Dr. Joseph, for some people, I know, I just say for them, it's too late. You know, it's too late for some people.
All right, Michelle, go ahead.
Yeah, I just typed in the chat. I think it all starts with modeling a good example to our children. I get people all the time that say, but Michelle, I'm worried about the well-being of my child. And then I say, well, how do you demonstrate good mental health hygiene for your children? We have to model what we want them to be like. And I think we forget how powerful our actions are over our words. So I think the greatest opportunity is to show them you know, instead of just, you know, explaining what we think that they should think or do. We have to actually demonstrate it.
Thank you. More comments on that? Okay, more questions?
Dr. Joseph, I have one quick one for the all of the panelists this morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, Kelly, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Thank you. If there's, okay, all of you have done fantastically this morning on the panel. This is like one of the best that I've heard over the years. And anyway, if you were to give one thing that you want to do toward making a better world in 2022, what would that be?
Yes.
In the interest of time, one item.
112260.
I'll go first again because apparently the teacher goes first. Okay. Actually, one of the things that I would do, and I do, is that at a university, we have a program called Global Challenges where students can choose research areas based on the coach's interest. And my interest has been on human rights. So students, I actually talk to them about human rights and they come and they start to recognize, because that's where it starts. It's when we don't, and we discriminate and we don't give everyone the same rights we ourselves want, is where the problem starts. So my students do research on human rights. I don't tell them what's right or wrong. They have to go out, find out for themselves, and come out with recommendations to make this world a better place. And I think that's what I was doing, and I'll continue doing in 2022.
Excellent. Thank you.
If I may give an example of what Therese had said, one of her students actually from South Africa had done research on minority businesses in Los Angeles. And I haven't had the time to read that report. It's still in my way. I'm gonna be going to read it because I thought she did phenomenal job based on the summary I was able to get to. So here you go, your fruit is, I mean, the work you are doing is already bearing fruit. We can see firsthand. And I've seen that with each and every one of you on this panel.
Okay, and so let's hear from the other three panelists on the same question there. What would one thing you'd like to do in 2022?
Okay, Shauna, go ahead.
Thank you. I would continue providing women and underserved youth with the critical skills that they need to succeed in the modern workforce, and to help provide them economic mobility for them and their families. I want to, this kind of is a lead in. I want to share an example of students in our Upskill New York program. It was a cohort that we just, a pilot program that we just completed. And these students are 18 to 24-year-olds they're out of school youth, meaning that they're high school graduates but didn't go into college. They're working low-income jobs and not reaching their full potential. They come into our class to learn Microsoft Office, administration, Office 365 administration, database management, website design, and more. The story I want to share with you is that when we gave them their first assignment to create a Microsoft SharePoint site, like to design a site, they all told me, I have no website experience, none at all. And after about 20 minutes, they came out with like these amazing designs, beautiful, creative, bold designs. And I said, are you sure you don't have experience designing websites? And they all said, nope. And that what that tells me as an educator is that these kids, these young adults, I mean, they're just bursting with creativity and the thirst for knowledge, and they want to learn new skills. They want to know about technology, and Why aren't we giving that to them? These kids are our future. And so I'm really passionate about it. And to answer your question, Nancy, I will continue doing this in 2022.
Thank you.
Shauna.
We have another question coming in. Robert Robinson.
Yes, I put it in the chat. It's an observation with a question.
Okay.
I would love to see the fusion of the 4 panelists' individual focuses and collectively note the efforts that have been made in each of their areas and in schools and corporations toward equality so that we could point forward to a guiding light. This is a call to action, but it's also a question. Can we do this at SDIG and point forward with a single focus? Because with all the corporations I've worked with and 38 years as an educator and from alternative school all the way up through a university, you know, let's say tidbits of this has been done or pieces of the recipe have been offered, but no one's ever baked the cake. So maybe someone like SDIG who has the ability could put all this together, let's say in a video documentary, but a good one, a short one, that could be put on TikTok, you know, clips on TikTok or other venues that says, this is the progress that we've made. In Black History Month, I've been watching all the documentaries on Selma and John Lewis and all these things here in Atlanta. But rather than reinventing the wheel, we should say, hey, this is what we've been doing. This is what technology groups have been doing. This is what schools have been doing. And this is what we're modeling at SDIG. And, you know, come join us. Follow the light, as they say in Poltergeist. Go into the light, my children. Come into the light. So that's my thought. And I'd like the commentators to respond to it if they would.
Okay, please go.
Well, I can respond. I think that just this idea of all of us collaborating together and coming together with the different work that we do would be incredible. I found that for myself, the most impactful work that I've done has always been in partnership. So one of my greatest achievements, or the things that I've been most proud of, is the work that we've been able to do in Kenya. And so we were able to bring our programs to 10 schools last year. The goal is 100 by the end of this year. And there'd be absolutely no way we'd be able to do that kind of work with myself as a lead in Chicago without the help of an organization called TechLit Africa. And so I see just that one partnership has brought just such a huge impact with the amount of students we'd be able to reach that I can't imagine the impact that all of us here on this call together be able to make. I mean, for myself, the easiest partnership makes sense for me is with Shauna and the work that we're doing in technology, but I also see the type of partner we could do with Michelle too. And there's so many students who are building apps that are addressing mental health challenges that they see. We also work within prisons where I know there's people all over on this call, but within the United States, there's a really big issue of mental health challenges within prisons. And we just have a huge problem with the cycle of incarceration negatively affecting our communities. And Therese is just amazing, and I've just been inspired by every word she says. So I would love to have everyone on board. I don't know how, but I just love that we had this chance to come together.
I want to thank you all. I want to say that we're going to move this forward. Robert is a coach on emotional intelligence. He has been a strong advocate for what we do here at SDIG, and I know where to get him. And so what I would do, I take it upon myself to plan more that could address or reflect the power of the group. I think, you know, we can do so much as individuals, but if we work together, we can do much, much, much more. So on that note, I'll keep that in mind, and one of the things I'm going to be looking at with my team to see how we can foster that. And now let's shift immediately to having your closing argument. I'm being reminded by my boss that time is up. So I would like you to tell us, where do we go from here based on the powerful work you have been doing? How do we continue to move it forward? Let's go to Baptiste, please. Therese, could you begin, please?
Yeah, you always like, I think what it is nice, I've really enjoyed being on this panel, and I would like to thank Dr. Joseph for inviting me. And trust me, people, he had to squeeze to get me here, because I tried to stay out because, I said, oh, no, right? But I really like, and I do like the idea that Robert said. But Robert, I think Dr. Joseph is still not telling you, because I know he has a lot of things planned. There's a lot of changes happening at SDIG, and this is just the start with us coming on this panel. And I know a lot of us are going to be back on, even as a group and working together. And really, again, this is, I agree, Black History Month, and we cannot underestimate or diminish the value that has had. But I do want us to take away from this, this is not, diversity is not only about race. Okay, it's not about race, and it's about where we look to see the inclusion means we recognize people for the expertise they have and the ability they have to contribute to society. Everyone has a role to play, and we all need to play that role. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And let's move to Michelle. Michelle, could you give your closing statement, please?
Yeah, sure. I think we all need to return to our humanness. I say this all the time. We are all just human beings at the core. And when it comes to someone who might be suffering in any way, we need to recognize that we don't have to fix it, but we can be there for one another. So I really want to encourage everyone to not underestimate the power of listening, being curious, looking after those you love and care for. And if you're suffering, have the courage to talk to someone if you're struggling. And together we can make a big difference.
Thank you so much. Now let's go to Brianne. Could you go, please?
Absolutely. And I also want to thank you again for including me in this great panel. This has been such a nice time for my Friday morning. I just want to recognize really and celebrate what we're doing today, which is bringing together a group of diverse voices and really just empowering each other and finding ways where we can work with each other. I know for me, growing up, I always thought about my own identity being Jewish and having grandparents who survived the Holocaust. But then my parents did a great job of surrounding me with a diverse community as well to allow me to understand that there's so many communities that are being persecuted for their identities. And so I think there's so much we can do for our children and just for each other of just continuing to surround ourselves with good people, like the people here today. So that's it for me.
Thank you so much. All right, let's go to Shauna.
Thank you. Thank you. I am so grateful for you inviting me to this panel today. These are amazing speakers, and I think we should partner. We should talk afterwards. This is a wonderful group. I would love to work with you, and I ask that you and the audience join us to inspire, motivate, and build a more diverse tech workforce. We would love to hear from you if you're interested in learning more about our innovative and transformational work-based learning programs, our brain-based coaching, and more speaking opportunities. If you're interested, I just want to thank you so much for your time today, and I hope everybody takes care.
Okay, thank you so much. And I have to also let you know that on the 25th of this month, we're going to be having a 7 o'clock session from somebody who is so dynamic. He will be speaking on issues of our day in remembrance of Black History Month. So you look for it, or you're gonna be appearing on the SDIG LinkedIn spot, as well as on our website. So if you have time, please do register and continue to be part of SDIG. And together, there's no mountain we cannot climb. So on that note, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming, and we look forward to doing more. Mr. Adam, you have it.
Thank you very much indeed, Dr. Nwoye, and with many, many thanks to all of our speakers and to those of you who have chosen to attend today. We do our best to be inclusive in the human sense and also from a technical perspective. And if you'd like to find out more about what it is that we do, you'll find that on your screen are live links now, which you can bookmark if you wish, for systemicdiversity.org, our main website, as well as a brochure that you can flick through at any time, which is updated very quickly. If you'd like to join our Facebook group, because you're a Facebook fan, then by all means feel free. And of course, we started out and still have an extremely strong following on LinkedIn, which is a great place to meet other professionals, whether that's your area or not. You will find that if you come to our brochure, you will constantly find updates and notes and details, also past events of things that you can look at and you can find out about. Our YouTube channel went live a couple of months ago, and we'll be uploading this event to that YouTube channel in the course of the next couple of days or so. Just to let you know, in the meantime, that we also have, we've got the incorrect date on this particular slide, but coming up on the 22nd of February, which is a Tuesday, we have an ongoing event which is on teaching racism by Dr. Joseph Nwoye and Mr. Yigal Kahana, Esquire, who is an attorney based in Florida. And as Dr. Nwoye referred to, on the 25th, you will find that we have a Black History event, which I really recommend you checking out, with Richard Pete Hill, who is ex-Army and comes from the South and has experience in Europe. He's just a remarkable individual, as well as being a historian. So by all means, do jump on to systemicdiversity.org, take a look, feel free. That would be perfectly wonderful if you did. And in the meantime, from myself and my studio team in London and Karachi, I'd like to thank you all very much indeed for joining us. Those of you that wish to spend a little more time with us and with the panelists for a few minutes after our official session and recording is ended, please do feel free. But in the meantime, from the Systemic Diversity and Inclusion Group, from myself, Sedley Adams in London, from my colleague in Karachi, Ms. Sumaya Khatun, I'd like to thank you very much for joining us all. And please, we'd very much enjoy the possibility of seeing some or all of you again. Give us just 30 seconds or so while we close our live event. And as I say, we'll see you soon.